The Tale of Stephen by Edward Dyson ĺTis. The Tale of Simon Stephen, braceman at the odd and even, at the nations, in the gully. They were sinking in the rock. Simł was small and wiry rather, and a husband and a father, but heĺs gone and left his family as a consequence of shock. Shock was Simĺs disease, we reckoned, for it took him in a second, and no doctor born could diagnose what the symptoms were, I think, but weĺre missinĺ Simł completely. He could play the whistle sweetly, and was always very sociable and brotherly in drink. That was how poor Stephen drifted into trouble. Being gifted, he was hungry for an audience, and it led him up to Coyĺs. But his wife made no deductions for the artist, and the ructions what she raised around that public were just fireworks for the boys. When she caught him on the liquor, being stronger like and quicker, she would hammer him in company, which, I take it, wasn't right. Yet he bore it like a martyr while his wife played up the tartar, and she gave her straight opinion of each mother's son in sight. Simł had marks of her corrections scattered round in all directions on his features and his figure, but he didn't seem to care, for he thought his missus clearly did her duty by him merely when she pommeled him for boozing with a poker or a chair. ĺTwas a Wednesday, boss, ilm thinking. There'll been much promiscuous drinking up the gully, where some city chaps were christening spoonrels. Mill. Simł was dayshift at the nations, and he missed the grand orations, but, with help from men and brothers, he contrived to get his fill. They'd been shooting holes, annal Stephen, when he left the odd and even, carried with him in his pocket here a plug of dynamite. Simł had put it there to soften, which is done by miners often, but it'll's not the sort of practice that I'd recommend is right. Well, the braceman didn't worry after tea that day, nor hurry to the bosom of his family, but took drink for drink with Mac. When they aimed him homewards kindly, Stephen went the distance blindly, and his feet performed the lockstitch all the way along the track. Mrs. Simł was primed and ready, and she met him with a Neddy, and she passed no vain remarks, but aimed an awful blow at him. Came a sound of roaring thunder, Mrs. Simł was blown from under, and the universe was ruined, and the sun went out for Simł. After search in all directions, we found very few selections of the widow's dear departed, but we did the best we could. For, you see, by passion goaded, and not knowing Simł was loaded, shelled concussed that plug of dynamite, and blown him up for good. There was room for no reproaches about the hearse and mourning coaches. Though we only buried samples, yet we load for style and tone, Manel's size coffin, grave, and preacher for a broken fellow creature, and we wrote Lynn death divided'll at the bottom of the stone.